Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Empower716, the podcast show for entrepreneurs, business owners, and side hustlers and career shifters, those who are interested and committed to developing their life as well as their business. So I am so excited today to have a lovely guest here. I'm going to just call you by your alias name, Adrie V, the Go Getta. You got to be sleeping under a rock not to know who Adrie V, the Go Getta is. Welcome to the show.
Listen, I am delighted to be here, but low-key nervous. Not going to hold you.
You?
I'm usually the one interviewing the people, not being interviewed. So I know how I prepare. I'm nervous, just a little bit.
Okay, so let me be honest, because I was really nervous about this interview because
I'm nervous.
it's like a professional, right? So you went to school for this.
Mm-hmm.
This is your career.
Yes.
And little old me, I'm a novice. I mean, like, I'm just like,
great job.
I'm just like trying to learn this. And so,
you got it.
You know, I appreciate it because when I listen to your podcast, and we're going to talk about this a little later, that I was so moved. But we'll talk about that in a second. But so how was your weekend?
My weekend was festive.
Okay. So what did you do?
One of my good sis, her little brother's birthday was this weekend, birthday party. So put up to the party, of course, work Friday and Saturday. And then I went to church. So it was just like back-to-back action. After church, I just normally shut down on Sunday and try to just regenerate and rejuvenate for the week. So
okay, awesome. So I want to just start off briefly. Just tell us a little bit about who you are for those who don't know you. Tell me, like, who you are and what do you do?
Well, I'm Crystal's daughter.
Crystal daughter.
Walter Vince's granddaughter. Christiana's sister. No, really, I am just a girl from the hood, believe she could. I like to operate within my triple threats. I call my 3 M's. That's motivation, media, and marketing. And when I mean motivation, always trying to encourage somebody because that's just what it does for me and educating people. So I'm an adjunct professor. Of course, from the media standpoint, I operate in radio, so radio personality. I have done television, TV personality. And when it comes to marketing, that is another side of me that I love, and I'll operate in that profession. I have served in that place with having a small business and then also actually being a digital communication manager, and I have been doing that for several different nonprofits and actual entities as well. So,
wow.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah, it all is in alignment. So I'm happy. I like to operate within the things that is passion and purpose driven.
And you still have a smile on your face.
I have to. You have to fight for your smile.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We could get into that, but you have to maintain it because anything else just don't do.
I love it. So I want to go back to, so I first met you. I don't know if you remember. I think it was, I'm probably dating myself, but I remember our first project I worked with you on was, we were doing an initiative with the FBI Buffalo.
I remember. It was with another organization you was with, and then the FBI.
Yeah. And so they was like, we got to get this speaker. Now, I was starstruck.
Really?
I was starstruck. I still am.
Doesn't stop it.
Yes, because I was like, this radio personality, she's coming to speak. And so finally getting to meet you, and then you were just so personable. That was my first impression of you. Like, I was like starstruck. And then meeting you in person, you were very approachable. You were very transparent then, and you still are today. Yeah. And that's what I love about your spirit. And so when you walked into that room with those kids, like you just took over.
Anything for kids.
Yeah.
Anything for the youth. Because I was once there, and I knew how impactful it is to have somebody in front of you to speak to you in a way where they've done it and they're showing you a way. So for me, it's just like, what, youth? Okay. They pull up my heartstrings, and I'll pull up at the butt crack of dawn. I just worked to like.
That was an early day too, yeah.
And I was there delivering a speech. So, but yeah,
that's awesome.
It was a great time.
So I want to talk about, so obviously you're from Buffalo, born and raised in Buffalo. And I want to know, because I want to start with, sometimes a lot of people may say, I have to leave Buffalo to thrive. And watching you do what you do is really encouraging. What does it mean to live here, to be born here, raised here, and then blossom to where you become. So like, how important is that to you?
I'll keep it very honest, because like you said, I'm a transparent person, and I think transparency is the truest currency.
Yeah.
Because if you're not real and people can't really understand and know your heart, how do you learn? It's like we go through things so that we can learn, right? And teach the next people. So I'll be honest, I've been wanting to leave Buffalo since I graduated college. My entire college career, I did my internships in New York City. So I did, my first year was at BET. That was amazing. I fell in love with New York City, and I was like, this is where I need to be. This is where you at, right? And then every summer after that, I was at BET, and then I did CNN, and I was determined to leave. And I set myself up to leave. So when I graduated, it was 2009 from UB. I did a stint at CNN, and one of our alumni was from UB, and he was the COO at the time at CNN, which is dope.
Right.
So I connected with him when he was at UB, got the internship, and he's like, do you want to work here? And I was like, yeah. He's like, so we're going to set it up so when you graduate, you can work here. I had to go back, take the test, and then the goddamn on economy went.
Wow.
2009, everything just crashed. The girl who was supposed to move up and I was supposed to move in, no shift happened.
Wow.
So I was, left here, and I remember my bishop, shout out to Bishop Hennings, he was like, you have to bloom where you're planted. And I always was like, while I'm here in Buffalo, I'm going to take advantage of everything. You know, high school, I interned at the radio station, went to college, completely decided that if I'm going to pay to be here, I'm going to take advantage of everything UB has.
Wow.
Like, I feel like I made more money in college than I made my first year out.
Get out of here, really?
Of college, because I took advantage over everything. And I was working and doing all kinds of stuff to really just stay active. So in college, the general manager of our radio station, I was a part of the Student Association Entertainment Division where we did all the big concerts at UB. So in college, I'm looking at contracts and negotiating and doing the writers and setting up green rooms and dressing rooms in college.
Wow.
And dealing with budgets from $50,000 to probably $300,000 for our outdoor concert where we got to buy pipe and drapes and get the bike racks and bring in all the toilets. It's the craziest thing. And a college student handling A-list celebrities like Sean Paul. And so in college, like, these are the things that I was tackling and doing. And so after I was done, I felt like my resume was ridiculous, coming out of college, still maintaining my internship at the radio station. So while everybody was partying Friday night, I'm at
you was out there working.
Yeah, I'm at the station, and then I'll pop up afterwards, right? The party's still going. And so maintaining all of that put me in a position to be able to catapult into New York, because I had a dope starting point. But then when it didn't work out how I wanted it to, I was like, dang. And so I remember my bishop was like, bloom where you're planted. And, blessed to have a village that really surround me. And my mentor put me at a position and was like, look, you like working with youth. Fresh out of college, you can do this, and gave me a chance to work at CAO at the time, and I created my own after-school program for high school students.
Wow.
And so I did that while working at the radio station because I had got hired when I graduated. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to make the best of where I am and use what I have in my hand to multiply it. So that's just really what it was.
Now, how was that mentally for you? Now, you talked about, like, coming back from New York City, seeing CNN, seeing BET. Where was, like, your mental state? Although you're trying to make it work.
Get out of here. I love Buffalo.
Yeah.
Buffalo has made me. And so, but while I was here, I knew, okay, I'll say, I'm going to bloom where I'm planting here, but I have to figure out, everybody's running to New York, right? Everybody's running to New York. They're trying to make it. It's a place of the dreams. You can make it here. You can make it anywhere. Right. But I was like, if I can make it in Buffalo, I can make it anywhere, especially in this division of entertainment where it's not a lot here.
Right.
So what can I do? And so that's when I began to say, okay, all right, I'm going to do this here at the radio station, and I'm going to really just give it my all so that whoever elsewhere could take a knowledge of who I am and then want me to come to their city, right? Or I'm going to network my way in there. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to start here. I'm going to make things happen. So doing what I need to do at WBLK, and then expanded and making relationships into WDKX in Rochester, 103.9, and connecting with the DJs out there. Shout out to DJ Sight. He was doing one of my shows here in Buffalo. He's like, yo, I think you'll do dope in, Rochester. I was like, you think so?
Wow.
He's like, yes. And so connected with DJ Sight, connect me to the owner, which is really great. WDKX is a Black-owned radio station. And I mean, for the community, all about the community. So when I finally had a chance to come up there, they wanted me to do the morning show. So mind you, I'm driving from Buffalo to get on time to the morning show. So I'm up at like 3 so I could make it to the morning show by 5.
Wow.
And I'm driving there, and it was no joke. So they pretty much put me through and seeing if I could do that and handle it, and I did. And so then I got on in Rochester, and then I'm doing my weekends. One Friday in Buffalo, Saturdays in Rochester, and then shout out to DJ Supreme. He used to be on the radio with us at WBOK, and then he moved on and went to Albany at Hot 99.1. So when he went there, he was like, "Yo." Trying to build up my team. He was the program director at the time. And he's like, I'm building up my team. You know, do you want to be a part of it? And I'm like, heck yeah. You know, absolutely. What I got.
So you jumped on it.
It was the thing of, it's not about, oh, can I make it happen? It's like, when do you need me to make it happen?
Wow.
I never second guessed an opportunity. It was just like, if it's beneficial for me, do it. Help me progress. Is it going to position me? I'm with it. I'm for it. Figure out how to make it happen.
Yeah.
If it meant no sleep for a little while, no sleep for a little while.
Sleep,
until
no
my
sleep.
bags start coming. I was like, this ain't gonna work. You ain't looking too good, girl. And so expanded into Albany, and then I was expanding. So now, you know, it's Rochester, Buffalo, and Albany, and I'm doing these stations all at the same time. And I'm driving to.
So I was gonna ask you, now, do you drive to Albany too? Because I know you do all 3 of them.
I drove to Albany a couple times, and after that, I was like, hey, we gotta figure this out.
Just satellite kind of.
Yeah, so just doing what I need to do because Town Square Media owned both WBOK, and Hot 99.1.
Nice.
So
Okay.
it worked out. It's a sister station.
That's good.
Yeah, so that was just, you know, one aspect of really just expanding, and then, you know, not stopping there and still making sure I'm connecting with my people in New York City, visiting out there, tapping in with my network from BET and CNN, and then having opportunities to cover like the BET Hip Hop Awards and cover the carpets. And so
Awesome opportunities.
being able to just continuously expand.
So the other question I want to ask you is, now we've talked about the flip side of like the challenges of kind of prospering in Buffalo, especially in the field that you're in. But do you also see that it's easier because you're kind of like the trendsetter in a sense by being one of few? Now, there's other people before you, but do you feel there's a lot of, I don't want to say competition, but do you feel like because you're kind of like setting the trend that this could be done, do you think that's kind of like easier to do in Buffalo because it's not as out there as much?
I guess because of starting out going into other cities, I never look at myself as I'm competing with anybody in Buffalo.
Yeah.
I've always looked at it from the standpoint of, I love Angie Martinez. I love Wendy Williams.
Yeah.
I love Angela Yee. I love Dee Dee in the Morning. Studying these radio personalities that I wanted to be like. That was who I see. That's who I wanted to be with.
Yeah.
I mean, and be like and be around, and that's what I tailored, you know, how I position myself. So I never looked at it. You know, when people are like, oh, it's Buffalo, you know, they hate it. I just never looked at it like that. It's where I live. It's where I'm going to rep, and it's where I am. And so I'm going to bloom while I'm here. But looking to the left of me or the right of me, I just wanted to look ahead of me, and those are the people that was ahead of me. And so I aspired to be like them and aspired to shift and change my culture where I'm at by being able to implement and doing it my way.
I love that. I love that outlook. So before we get into like more of I want to talk a little bit about your podcast, but you talked briefly about this. Go into like what the motto of Go Getta is and how did it all come about? Like what was kind of like your thinking when you developed, or I guess what inspired you to get to that, Go Getta?
So starting from high school again, I have to shout out my mentors, Catherine Roberts and Dwayne.
Love Catherine.
That's when I say these are my people my village. Like I have village people, you know, and so these are individuals who took me under their wing and really just molded me and guided me in this industry. And of course, there's others that have added in, but when it comes to my foundation, they gave me my start. Being on Late Night Noise with DT, kicking off at high school. So I'm in high school learning how to read from the teleprompter. I'm in high school doing interviews and learning how to prep. So by the time it was time for me to actually launch into television, I could run down this teleprompter. I know how to set up an interview. I know how to swag from question to question and not feel like it's robotic, you know, or even being a part of the radio station at 16 and interning and really learning what promotions was like. She was a promotions director. She taught me what guerrilla marketing was. It was my desire to go into marketing, and this is why I do, because that was the first step into radio for me, which was through the promotions department. And so learning that the community was important, so that you always had to make sure that you understood what was happening in the community, because she would have us in the fields all the time. Have my little blue neon. I'm driving from remote to remote, following the BLK truck with the rest of the interns in my car. And we're jumping out at all kinds of stuff. And that's where the ability to make sure that you're personable, to make sure you're connecting always with people, looking folks in the eyes, never treating anybody different from a janitor to a CEO.
Right.
These are things I learned that was fundamental. And so, those starts really position me for these opportunities that I have today because are the things that really carry me through. And so just really the I would say the idea of having those beginnings and carrying on to where I am today really has, I would say, like, positioned me. I don't know if I answered.
No, you did. You did. I think the people who inspired you to get to the point where you are. Now, what was
the go-getter aspect.
The go, yeah.
So started out like that.
Yeah.
My friends would see me. I literally negotiated with Miss Barton. Shout out to Miss Barton, McKinley High School, best friends forever. I negotiated with her to take all my study halls to put it at the end of the day.
Okay.
So I can leave school early to go to my internship.
She was cool with it. She was cool with it.
She was like, she ran it down, make sure my grades was on point. She made sure I was doing what I was supposed to do in my class.
So you had the good negotiation skills back then.
I was a good student. I was class clown, but I was a good student. And I learned the importance of key relationships at my school. It was the key people, my teachers, my principals, my counselors. You make sure you stay on point with these people.
Everything is...
Whatever you do in school, you're going to be cool. You know what I mean? And I did the morning announcement, so I helped out. I played basketball. I drilled. I was extremely active. So when I came to her and said, this is an opportunity for me, she's like, okay, well, I'm going to talk to your counselors. I'm going to talk to your teachers. And then she's like, okay, we'll do that. And luckily, I had a great relationship with my counselor. Shout out to Miss Williams. She moved all my study halls in the midst to the end, and I was able to leave school right after lunch to go to my internship. So doing that and doing everything I was doing, my friends was like, yeah, you're a go-getter. And they just called me the go-getter, so I ran with the name. Wow. So when I got to college, I'm still carrying on that same initiatives, that same activity, just making things happen and going after what I wanted. I literally got to college, and I remember sitting in the auditorium, and they're bringing up the different organizations and the scholarship information. And everything, I'm just sitting here writing it all down. Okay, that's what? You get that win, junior year, senior year. Okay, boom, all right. And so I literally just decided to write down everything I wanted to do in college, down to my internships, down to the organizations I wanted to join, down to, when I wanted to leave and go do study abroad. Study abroad is the only thing I didn't do in college. Wow. My only thing I didn't do on that list. But I made a list of everything that I wanted to do, and everything I achieved it, right? Wow. And so that name, began to just be more of a slogan and a style of lifestyle for me. And I flipped the name from being GOGETTER, to GOGETTA, where you're an ambitious person who stops at nothing and take a holistic approach to go after what you want and believe in, period.
I'll say that again, because that was... Say that again.
A go-getter is an ambitious person who stops at nothing and takes a holistic approach to go after what they want and believe in, period. And the believe in is absolutely important, because you have to believe in yourself to make things happen. I've had doors closed and so many no's, but I still keep going. And it's a perpetual thing to keep going after what you want and making it happen. Because once you get that, then there's something else that you want. Then you got to decide to go get that. So it's just a continuation. And I took that slogan and I just really ran with it. And it's really a style of life for me. It's a lifestyle, And in addition to that, I also live with those my three pillars, of ask, seek, and knock.
I've seen that, yeah.
Good book, right? Yep. It says those who ask shall receive, those who seek shall find, those who knock the door shall be open. That's a go-getter.
That's a go-getter, yeah.
You're constantly asking the right people, seeking in the right places, knocking on the right door. And if they don't open the door, knock it down.
Keep going after,
They don't open it, you can't knock it down, build a window. Either way, go after what you want if it's on the other side. So it just became a way of life for me after my friends gave me the name, and I've just been running with it since. Because I feel like everybody should be a go-getter.
Yeah.
I think nobody would be upset in the road if you wasn't.
Not be bitter and toxic.
This is what I'm saying. Because if you focused on going to get something, why would you be upset?
You don't have time, like you said, you don't have time to look to your left or right and just kind of like, we can all get this.
We can, because we can.
So I love the fact, one is like being one thing is one thing to be an entrepreneur, but then being an entrepreneur that wants to give back. And when you talked about Go Getta, like you developed this mindset, the belief to say, you know what, I have to go after this. If I want it, I got to be hungry for it. But then to take it further, to reach out to other people around you, like my friends, my family, everybody in my community, this is accessible to you as well. So tell me, like, the drive, you know, from, I guess, what it took from you to get from yourself, knowing that you had to get it inside of you, to now reaching out to other people around you to say, we all can get this.
Yeah, it takes activation.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got that gift and ability in you, but it takes someone telling you that, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why I feel it's important to reach out to others and to do the same and encourage them to do the same, is because it was done for me. You know, it's been done for me. And who am I to stop the circle of life? I feel like you have to keep it going, and you have to pay it forward. And again, my village, I have people in my village who have helped me tremendously. And even people, you know, who are no longer here. I was a part of a program that was amazing in the city of Buffalo called Yo Buffalo.
I remember that program.
Transformative program. I hate that the program, you know, ended, and you know, it changed so many lives for this little girl that was in the hood who could go to her community center. And my community center kicked off me wanting to be in radio because we had an internet radio station at my community center.
Was that the one off of, what's it? The Crucial, yes, yeah.
But now it's a school there.
Yep.
And I hope they decide to open up the community center for the community.
Yes.
But yes, that community center was a lifesaver for me. I live in the hood. I still live in the very same hood I grew up in. And that really was a safe haven for us. And in addition to the Yo Buffalo program, paid for me to get my permit, paid for my driving lessons, taught me job readiness skills. I had a counselor, rest in peace to amazing soul, my soror, Tamika Oaks. She was my counselor. She was my big sister. She guided me, made sure we talked about boys, you know, we talked about dreams and goals. And this is grammar school going into high school. Wow. And I was a part of this program. You know, the program also paid for me to have my first computer. We learned how to build a computer, put the motherboard in, and they paid us to do it. And we took it.
I remember that program. They had all these little pieces, and they take them apart.
And we're literally putting everything together. I still have the tower because I built that, right? Wow. And it was and for a girl who didn't have a computer in her household, right? And I did after that, and didn't have several. But it was programs like that that transformed me and so many of my other friends. Like shout out to Itina Fareed. She was a part of that program. Yeah. That changed me to where it's just like, who am I to not do the same for somebody else? You know, and I've realized that people lack mentors. Yeah. My mentors changed my life. And there's mentors that I even got now as an adult who are changing my life. So, you know, I always tell my students there are 3 ships you need to be in. That's mentorships, key relationships, and of course, internships, right? They're all transformative. So for me, because someone helped me, I cannot. It is my responsibility. God gonna get me if I don't reach back and assist the next generation.
Wow. That's so awesome what you do. Yeah.
Like, it's like a thorn in my side. I run away from it from time to time.
So actually, let's talk about that. The gift. I was actually talking about someone offered me, like there's opportunities that you're given. And for me personally, like I tell everyone, like I'm an introvert. I have really bad social anxiety. Like doing this podcast is totally uncomfortable for me. But I understand what God is doing. Like you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? And we struggle with the gift that we have because sometimes it's a lot of pressure. It could be a lot of burden as well. But talk about all the things that the foundation on which created who you are today, like having mentors, having good relationships, having the interns and opportunities. Now that you are, I would say, at the plateau of your success.
I don't think so. I still feel like I'm still climbing.
You did. Oh. But I love the fact that, we'll talk about this, is that you're still learning. I think any great leader, entrepreneur, no matter how far we come, we still have to be in a position to learn and grow. Like we're always evolving.
A sponge.
Yep. And I think I want to talk about, like, how do you, within your gift, like the moments like when you kind of feel like this is like a lot, mentally, spiritually, physically, am I in my right place? Like, how do you kind of like navigate through that where you are today?
Wow. It's interesting you asked that because I've kind of been in like I'll say my phoenix, right? Of kind of burning from what I was and shifting into what I am going to be, right? And what I mean by that is life will come at you. You know,
Absolutely.
life will like you. Life is the greatest humbler.
Yes, it is.
Humble you like no other.
If it don't, it will.
It will. And I feel like in the past years of my life, I have been humbled. And I'm grateful. It is good that I've been afflicted, right? And so before I used to get mad. Yeah. It's like, what? I'm doing right. I'm doing
all the check boxes. I'm
doing what I'm supposed to do. Why? Like, why is this not rolling how I think it should roll?
Right.
Right. And I mean, for a while, you can sit in that, you know, and I remember telling one of my mentors, I was like, man, sometimes I feel like I'm in quicksand because it's the desire to want more, do more, knowing I'm capable of more, and feeling like as much as I do, I'm not moving how I want to move. Yeah. You know, I'm not reaching, like you said, a plateau. I'm not reaching there like I want to reach. And I had to take a minute to digress and really sit there and also give myself grace. And be like, you went through some things in the past 5 years where I had to recalibrate and question, is this career for me? Do I want to do it? You know, I've committed so much to it to where I wasn't time with my family, time with my friends. I'm just focused on this. Eat, sleep, losing sleep, gaining weight. You know, it wasn't a healthy situation. And you're going through life woes and then trying to jungle everything else. You know, it was so much that came at me at one time, going through a divorce, my mom having breast cancer, and really still having to show up with energy on the air where right before you hit that talk button, you was crying. You know, but you can't show up like, hey, Power 93.7.
I'm going through it.
Pray for me. Power 93.7 going to be okay. Click. And you dealing with yourself. Yeah. Because you have to. And that's when I had to learn to be a self-motivator. I've always been self-motivated. But when you're really low, when you so low, you have to really pull in all you possibly can. And in addition to that, again, your village. Yep. And for me, I love therapy. I think therapy is amazing. I think counseling.
Speak on it, because we don't talk about that a lot.
About Black people.
Talk about it. Come on.
Raise us and say what goes on in your house stays on in your house.
Don't talk about that. Don't tell my business. Don't tell my business.
But the house might just be, okay? It's messing your mind up. And I'm a believer. I love my dentist. I done had the same dentist since I was 5. Shout out to Dr. Murphy. And I make sure I get my checkups, I get my fillings, I get my cleans, and I go ahead and get everything I need to do to make sure it's great. I had braces, and I know this smile would not be on point if it wasn't, okay?
The process.
I make sure I go to my gynecologist. I make sure I see my regular doctor. Why do we feel it's not necessary to have a doctor for your mind? Where it's really your biggest organ that keep all the other organs intact. Because this goes, it don't matter how great everything else is. But the moment you lose this, you're done. Yeah. So why wouldn't you want to keep it intact? It made me so self-aware, extremely self-aware. I'm conscious of everything that I do because everything that you put out, you get it right back. It's a boomerang effect. Yeah. You know, I've questioned myself more to make sure that I'm doing things in purpose and on purpose. And it really has given me clarity of how to operate. And it has been one of the best things ever that have kept me intact on top of going to the gym, to make sure I keep myself whole and not allow there to be holes in me. You know, so I think that's important that we need to understand if you're dealing with some things, you could talk to your friends, yes, but if there's someone that you feel you can trust and really expose all of you, because sometimes we just show up with our friends and still try to keep it together. Right. Mask, like I said, you know, I call it the mask. You pop up, I'm fine. How you doing? Entertainment, life of the party. Like I literally just had this conversation with my mentor. I was like, do you remember I went to the caucus, and I remember hosting an event at the caucus, and then next thing you know, I got another call, and it was a devastating blow, and I had to host an event, and I still had to get up on there, wipe my tears, and get up on that stage and host for a whole bunch of youth, and give all the energy I possibly could, because I had to turn on. You got to be on when you show up. So how else do you allow yourself to be free, to show a different mask, and be comfortable telling your story and not feeling like it's going to come back on you, right? So, you know, I think therapy is absolutely amazing, and it changed me so that I plan to go back to school for my PhD to be a clinical psychologist.
Really? That is awesome.
I always wanted to go back to school and finish and to go all the way, and I finally figured out what it is because it changed me so.
Wow. I think there's two things that we don't talk about in the Black family: therapy and money. And we just kind of avoid it. You don't talk about my money. You don't talk about,
we don't even ask each other how you really doing.
Yeah.
It's how you doing today. Or we don't even say that. Just where you at?
Blessed and highly favored.
Yeah. Who said you supposed to say that? That's supposed to be what somebody say when they look at you.
Yeah.
Why we say, oh, I'm blessed and highly favored. Okay. Off what lines? I'm supposed to look at you and see all that greatness.
Now, you mentioned, so I listened to your podcast, The G Code, right?
Yes, The G Code.
Now, I fell in love with it. I think 2 episodes I watched. And I was like, okay, I gotta listen to this more. I love your transparency. Now, the episode that I was listening to was the mask off, and you talked about like getting your mind right, but also it's okay not to be okay.
Oh my God, it is.
Now that hit home to me because I was telling someone the other day, like I usually take like a month off in November, but because of other things, I wasn't able to do it this past year. And so I took the month of January off. And it's usually to get my mind right. And I went into this dark place. No, like I wasn't planning for this, wasn't part of my schedule. Went to this dark place and it was like no reason. Kind of like what you just said, evaluating where you are. Am I on the right path? And sometimes you feel bad asking those questions because I was like, God, am I being ungrateful by asking these questions? Like,
why can I have a conversation with my dad if he's my dad?
Yeah, it's like, so like, am I being ungrateful because I have questions? Like, is this the right path I should be taking? Like, is this where I need to be? God, is this where I need to be aligned? Am I listening too much to this and not enough of this? And I just went to this dark place. And, some people was like, just pray about it. Just pray about it.
When I tell you that, I mean, like, I'm going to pray to you.
Right.
No.
and prayers are good, but there requires some action. Just talk about like the therapy and be able to just really have whatever is going to help you mentally get to the space you need to be, but even just talking about it. And sometimes, especially when you are, I would say, growing in your career and your path, is everybody going to you for answers. Like people call you for advice. Here's what you need to do. And then you're just like mentally drained.
Your cup is empty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely empty. And it's like you cannot, Oprah said it best, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Like you cannot think I'm about to pour into you and I'm already empty. It's really hard. And, when I did that podcast, I remember being on the radio. I pulled up to the station, and I love going to radio.
Yeah.
I think out of all the jobs I done had, I've always been on time to radio. Okay, my show starts at 10, I'm there at 8.
Yeah.
Okay, any other job, I'm pulling up right on there because it's a different level of life, right?
Yeah.
And so I remember one day pulling up to the station, I sat in the car, and I said, I don't want to do this right now. And that's when I knew something was wrong.
Wow.
Girl, what's going on with you? And I really sat in the car and I said, I don't feel like doing it. I do not feel like going on this radio and being excited about what.
Wow.
And that's when I knew I needed to take a step back and figure out what's going on with me because I wasn't okay. And when we're not okay, it's like, well, I'm not okay. Like, what's wrong?
Yep.
And I really had to sit and say, it's okay to not be okay for today.
Yeah.
And then you have to give yourself grace. And then, like you said, put together a plan because I remember losing my grandfather. I was married at the time, and I got married, and he died on my wedding day.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's had some crazy things. And I remember people was like, just pray. And I'm looking at them like, is you kidding me? Just pray?
Just pray about it. Just pray about it.
Yeah, I know. But when? Because I don't like how I feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I've learned then, yes, praying absolutely is key. But now I have to take actions. One of my favorite books says in James, faith without work is dead, like the body without the spirit is dead. So if you have faith and no work, what you going to do? But if you have work and no faith, still,
right?
So you really have to combine the two. And so I knew, okay, I'm going to pray. I'm gonna believe that you're gonna make sure this happens for me. Now, what do I need to do on my part to shift this for me?
Yeah.
How do I need to show up for me? What makes me feel good? Okay, I don't like the fact that my weight is a little bit over than what I like. I'm not really liking what I see in the mirror. Let me begin to shift and change that. What does that look like for me? What makes me happy? Okay, skating, going to the gym, playing basketball, football, finding out the things I love to do and surrounding myself around them.
Right.
And then my home, my dwelling place. How do I wake up in the morning and make sure this space is speaking to me every time?
Wow.
You know, so I literally, you go in my house right now and it's all types of images and pictures that speak to me. Like I literally have a wall that I call my motivation wall, so that it speaks to me. Or I have a big portrait of a radio that's up, and bright colors, vibrant, a lot of windows is open. All of that matter, down to what I had to change how I eat, because now I feel lighter. So really acknowledging how you feel, figuring out the direction you want to go, and shifting and doing the work. And then that's when I began to pull myself out of the dark place.
Wow.
And then it's just like, oh, shoot, you don't even realize you're You see the dark clouds back there? Like, and there I am dancing in the rain.
Back at it and just feeling the whole, I think that process, and a lot of people skip over. And I talk a lot about this in coaching too. Like, sometimes people are looking for just methods. They're looking for the 1-2 steps. So if I say, you know, I want to get to where you are and just show me how you do it.
Right.
And it's like this 1, 2, 3 thing, and then I'm supposed to get where you are. And I don't think that's reality. And in the process that you had to get out of the state of mind, because some people just look at the outside and say, well, you know, you're on the radio, you're doing this, and you're motivating people, but you go through it as well. Now, do you think your growth and your transparency has helped you evolve even more? Because I was moved by that episode because of your transparency. And it allowed you to be more relatable. And I think for the people who are listening to you, it's like, wow, that's something that I may feel uncomfortable talking about. But because you said it, now I can be encouraged to do it for myself.
Yeah, I think once I healed, right, because that's key.
Yeah.
You can't really talk about nothing unless you are healed from a thing. You know, you can't really return back to a place that may have hurt you and not feel anger if you're not healed, right?
Yeah.
And I knew healing is important. One, if I wanted to move on to the next career, if I wanted to move on to in my love life and in friendship, you have to come from a healed place and really make sure that you do the work. So that y'all in Van and do the work, you know what I mean? Do the work. And so I can be transparent because I'm healed. Right? And like I said earlier, transparency is the greatest currency.
Yes.
I've learned my greatest lessons from people who told me the truth about a thing. And I said, all right, so you said to go straight and sharp right and then a quick left. So I won't bump my head there, because that noggin in my grandfather's, that noggin of yours, you know, that you got that from running in there? Cool. I learned from other people's mistakes. But then I also learned greatly from mine too. But I pay for that, right? And that's time in agony. I no longer want to play with my time, and I no longer want to be in agony. So I feel, and again, it's like when you're going through stuff, why am I going through this? You go to the other side and you learn your lesson. Because now I'm like, all right, now, what do I need to learn from this?
Absolutely.
Do this? What was this lesson? Okay. And so now I'm a freely share because, like I said, transparency is the truest currency. The currency to another opportunity for somebody else, the currency to a better life, the currency to a better situation. And if people are just locked up and like, oh, I'm great, I'm polished, I'm this. People is corny. Like, I'm over Instagram and these curated situations and everything is just perfect, because it's not.
It's not.
You don't got to share your business, boo. But there's a eloquent way and a great way to be able to deliver a dope message to help people understand everything that glitter ain't gold. And that's what I say on my podcast. You know, everything that glitter ain't gold, and there's always the truth to be told, you know, but here is my people I'm bringing to you that's going to give you the G code, which is essentially a cheat code. So now you ain't got to deal with that. You know what I mean? So I just really believe transparency is the greatest currency, because for so many times in our lives growing up, we're lied to.
Yeah.
And I'm not a person that want to lie about what life has done for me, good and bad, and they're different, because it's all a learning, it's all a lesson.
Absolutely. Other question I have for you is balance. I'll talk, you know, coming out of the darkness or wherever the stage you were, and you kind of, I guess, have a different perspective coming out of that darkness. You talked about working out. You talked about, what motivates you, changing your environment. How do you balance your career path, your personal time, relationships, and all of that, as a I would say an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I don't even think it's called balance.
Yeah.
I think I use the word, I play with it.
Yeah.
Because there's no real such thing as balance,
True
honestly.
indeed, true.
Because something is going to overweigh. I just make sure that I communicate better with the people that's in my life and the people that I love. And love is an action. You know, shout out to my good sis JoJo. She always say love is an action.
Is that Joanna?
Yes.
Shout out to Joanna.
Yes. And so I want to make sure that I'm taking action. If I say I love you, if I say I care for you, if I say I support you, I want to make sure you know this through my action and not just through my lip service. And so I've learned that way. And then I've learned, Adrie, you can work, but then also make sure you step away for time for fun. I remember my Friday night, Saturday nights was committed to being at the radio station. I'm not leaving. I'm not going. If it's a trip, sorry, can't go, gotta work. And I remember going to Puerto Rico for a week, and I was like, oh, they don't mess up. They should have never let me go.
Never let you go. Now you know how it feels.
Now I'm feeling the itch. Gotta go. And now I cherish those feels and those moments. Because when I look at it, for me, time is a thing we can never get back.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't like wasting time because you take my money, you take my outfit, take the car, crash the car, whatever. All these things I get back.
Yeah.
But my time, I cannot get back. So now I value my time to the sense of, do I want to do that?
Yeah.
If me going there does not give me energy and joy, I don't want to go. If me buying that does not give me joy and really spurs my energy, I don't want to get it. I'm super conscious. And like I said, going through what I went through made me very self-aware to where it's just like, I'm aware of this. It's not what I'm going to do. Yeah. But yeah, now it's like, if I'm going to have fun, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to be outside.
100%, 110%.
Right? But also when I'm working, I'm locked in.
Yeah.
And so I make sure I communicate with my people. Hey, my phone is going to do not disturb. I literally got it. I'm not going to say that because.
You put like a memo out to everybody, like, listen, I'm going to do not disturb.
Yeah, my phone is on do not disturb. And so it's not me being funny. It's not me not trying to spend time. I'm locking in from this time to this time, and I'll speak with you afterwards. And it's important. And now I was at a place, if you don't understand that about me,
then we're not friends.
You know, and I feel like that's key too. When you begin to know who you are, you build your friendships, relationships accordingly. And you got to respect it. I had a friend, my friend Adrie, she's a CPA. When she was studying for her CPA exam, locked
it down. You got to be locked down for that.
She didn't care what I was going through. Yo, friend, what's up? Locked in, can't talk. And I respected so much that she had to achieve the goal. Yeah. And now when she came up out of that lock-in, I was still her friend. Yeah. And there are some people who won't be able to
feel some type of way because you
feel some kind of way.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, if you understand what I'm trying to do, then you will understand my situation and not feel slighted or disrespected.
She don't call me, you acting funny now. And
So for me, it's just like I surround myself with people and love on the people who understand me from that standpoint, and I understand them, and I make sure I support that to the umpteenth degree. And then also now with my career, it's just like, okay, I need these days off. I'm not gonna be here for this. Gotta have feelings for this because now I want to make sure I'm enjoying life and not just working my life away. Yeah. But although I still love to work a lot.
You do, and you do it well.
Yeah, thank you.
Well.
Thank you.
I want to talk a little bit about as an entrepreneur. I want to talk about the business strategy because you can be a good radio personality and then get on the radio and that's it.
Right.
But it also takes beyond just being a voice.
Absolutely.
You got to get out there and push yourself. You got to promote yourself. Look at your website. Look at the photo shoots. All of this. Like, I kind of want to just
to get an opportunity.
Yeah,
it's not a guarantee.
Yeah, so talk about that because I think people just think just because you get a lot of exposure for being on the radio, right? But then people think that will be it. Just get on the radio, got that gig, and that's it. Yeah. But you got to work for it.
Absolutely. Every goddamn day. Like in addition to being in Buffalo, so I have WBOK 93.7, 103.9 WDKX, that's Rochester. So Buffalo is Monday through Friday. I mean, not Monday through Friday. It's Friday and Saturday, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Okay. Right? And so my Friday show is completely curated by me. So I have to vet out the DJs, listen to their mixes, identify what songs I want to put in there, communicate with the DJs, book the DJs. I do all my own marketing. I make my own flyers.
Wow.
I set up everything. So that's Friday and Saturday, right? And then I have a Monday through Friday morning entertainment report that I do in Rochester on 3.9. So I'm up at the butt crack of dawn for the morning show. After research and prep for exactly what I'm about to talk about, is it relevant to that particular demographic of people that we're reaching? Is it funny? Can I deliver it? Is it edgy? You got to be mindful. And in the morning, I got to make sure I'm not sounding like somebody's husband on the air, right? A little raspy. So I got to make sure I got my good lemon tea.
Yeah.
And the night before, I can't be out somewhere where there's a whole bunch of stuff going on because it's going to affect me, right? And so I got that morning show. And then Monday through Friday, I also do a show on Dash Radio. So I'm on the radio every day but Sunday. Wow. And so every day I'm prepping. Every day I'm putting the show together. I'm producing it myself. I'm putting it together myself. I'm doing the research myself. And then there's other people I can connect with and building relationships with record reps and connecting with managers and saying, hey, you got this opportunity. I could do this interview. And it's so much work that you have to be regimented. You have to be disciplined and maintaining relationships. Because boy, do I hate a quick text of, hey, quick, I got this going on. Can we make this happen? Boy, I heard from you.
In 2 years.
You know what I mean? So you have to maintain the relationship that you built in the industry. Yeah. I'm a person who, again, from my village, learned to be a realist and learned to connect and build with people. So it's important that you stay connected. And so, like you said, the strategy, like I'll even give you a strategy of when I was able to strategize myself into SiriusXM. And so that opportunity I wanted out of Buffalo, right? Like I talk about it, and first, I'm doing all of this. I'm like, I know I could get into this number one market. New York City is the Mecca. It's the number one market,
right.
And I'm in 52, 46, 58. These are markets that's like, you don't just jump from this to this,
there, right?
And when someone told me that, I said, okay, you told me I can't do that? I'm going to figure it out, right? And so I began to put my plan in motion, and I remember it's like, I want SiriusXM. I want Hip Hop Nation. Yeah. This is where I want to be. And so I cold called SiriusXM. Said, hey, this is Adriana. I'm looking. Said my name, Adriana Viverette, radio personality. I'm looking for the program director of Hip Hop Nation. And they go, hold, please. And at the time, my guy, Reggie Hawkins was the promotions director. He go, Hip Hop Nation, what up? I was like, hi, sir. You don't know me, but you will. And I really just went with my spill.
Wow.
And he's like, so what do? You in Buffalo. Right? All right. Talk to me. Yeah, So then he started coming at my life after I thought I was doing something.
Yeah.
I'm in Buffalo. I'm in Rochester. I'm in Albany. I think I'm doing something.
Yeah.
Okay, so have you did this? What about this? You got this? You got that? What about that? So while he's saying all of this, I'm
writing it down.
Okay.
Yep.
Nope, sorry, ain't got that, sir. Nope, never did that. I got a little bit of that. He's like, yeah, you know what? Holler back at me.
When you got some of that.
When you got some of this.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay. So I went to work on that list. That list that he gave me. Working the list. Okay. So then 2 months pop by. Hey, sir, just checking in. How you doing? Oh, what's up, Buffalo? What's going on? I'm good. How are you? What's going on? I see y'all doing this. So now I'm watching the channel, the YouTube, listening to the show, and I, jump in, quick conversation, maintain a relationship. So then I always make my trips to New York City, and I make sure, I'll check in. So this particular time, he didn't answer his phone when I called, and I'm in the city. Like, what is happening?
Why you ain't answering?
Right, so I knew another friend that I was meeting at SiriusXM. The key is relationships. Relationships is key.
Yeah.
And so I knew he was at Sirius, so I hit him up like, yo, Jamerson, I'm pulling up. Want to tap in with you. He's like, all right, cool. Put your name on the list. Pull up. So after I finished my meeting with him, had it in my mind, I got to find Mr. Hawkins.
Yeah.
Right? I got to find him. So he goes, after we done, I'm like, all right, cool. He's like, yeah, you about to get up out of here? I was like, yeah, I'm going to stop at BBQs before I hit this train and head home. I was like, but I'm looking for the program director of Hip Hop Nation. You know where he at? He's like, yeah, I'll take you to his office. Let me tell you something. When you want something that's on the other side of the door, you're going to go
It's
get it.
there, yeah.
So he takes me downstairs and the door is shut. He's like, all right, I'll talk to you later, Adrian. I'm like, cool. And I'm like, do or die, kid.
All or nothing.
And I just knock on the door. And he opens the door. He said, how can I help you? I said, sir, you don't know how to answer the phone?
This is Buffalo.
This man. And he got somebody else in there. He's like, yeah, what's your name again? I'm like, Adriana. He's like, oh, yeah. Let me get a minute with her. So my homeboy with me, and I'm just spitting. He's like, yo, how did you get in here?
Breaking all security codes.
You know, and so, you know, that's my first time being able to put my face to him, right?
Yeah.
And so after that, 2 months went by. I'm still kicking it. He's like, okay, you need to do more. He's critiquing me now. He's giving me info. So that's something I said, you know what I mean? Let me put my skill set with radio and social media, because at the time I was a social media manager for one of the charter schools, and I was just like, let me look at their social.
Yeah.
The social was whack. It wasn't aligning up with the personalities. They weren't promoting. There was no flyers. There was no pictures. All of this content that they had, it wasn't on display. So I said, this my way in. So I said, sir, I have this proposal for you. Let me run your social media for Hip Hop Nation. And he said, what you trying to say? I said, can I
tell you something? Let me tell you something.
You guys have dope interviews, but y'all just interview, I think it was like the Migos, and it's not even on your social. You know, and how long does it take for you to take the video content, put it on YouTube?
Yeah.
So he's like, you're right, okay, well, let me see the proposal. So I had put something on together, PowerPoint, sent it over, and I'm literally driving to Rochester while he's looking at the PowerPoint, and I'm talking to him and presenting it. And I got to stop at Popeyes because we didn't have Popeyes at the time. And so doing the whole presentation with him, and he goes, you might be onto something. I might be able to do something with you, Buffalo. I'm like, okay, cool, get back to me. Let me know. He calls me the next day, was like, yeah, my lady friend said I need to bring you in. I said, she's a smart woman. He's like, when can you start? And I was just like, I could start. He's like, listen, I know you're not in New York, and I'm not going to demand you be here right now, but eventually I feel like you need to get here. I'm like, okay, cool. So for the first 3 months, I ran Hip Hop Nation social media from Buffalo.
Wow.
Literally. And so I'm meeting with the personalities while they're doing different stuff. My homeboy, been my friend forever. I'm like, yo, my graphic design ain't like yours. I need you to make their graphic designs, right? So he's doing the graphic designs for me for Hip Hop Nation, going crazy with the social media. So I'm building this rapport with everybody, building this relationship. And my program director like, yo, you need to come to New York City. You need to figure out how to get here. And he kept saying that. So then I was like, okay, cool. So I would at least do a day in the city every week. I would catch, shout out to Megabus.
Wow.
I would catch the Megabus.
The Megabus, really? Wow.
Oh, terrible, killed my body. I would catch the Megabus to New York. I would get like that bus that's coming out like at midnight, get there at the top of the day at like 8 o'clock, work all day, catch the latest Megabus out, and be back in Buffalo to go to my regular job. And I did that once a week for like 4 months. That was a lot of money, and that was like taxing on the body. Then he finally was like, yo, I need you to stop playing and get here. So I was like, okay. He's like, I really think you could take advantage of this opportunity. It'll be amazing for you. And I'm just like, all right, what to do? Now, once you make a decision and you get clear, it's like, okay, I'm going to do this. Yeah. I feel like God just start working it all together. Yeah. I forgot I had family that lived in Jersey and Montclair. Loved them, blessed them. And they well-to-do, right? Yeah. And they have rooms. They got space.
Rooms on rooms. Yes. Ooh.
And I remember trying to figure it out. And my mom was like, you know, you got your cousins? And I remember hitting on this. Yes, come on down. Your granddad took care of me when I was in school. It would be an honor to take care of you. So, again, it's the cycle, right? Yeah. Keeping it going. So I remember packing up everything. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do a full week. And every weekend I'm gonna come home. I was married at the time, so I'm still trying to be a wife. I'm trying to chase my dreams. Still trying to do everything, and I didn't want to pass up the opportunity.
Yeah.
And so I would leave Buffalo like Sunday night, going into Monday morning. I remember pulling up to Jersey my first day. I felt like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The house was amazing. It was great. She's standing at the door for me with one of their housekeepers. I'm just like, where am I?
Wow.
Like I'm like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you know, this is your room, your bathroom is right here. I was like, God, look at you. Look what you done did for me here. And every day I literally got up, jumped on the decamp bus, which is literally right there at the corner, and rode my way into the city, and then walked to the Avenues of America to Sirius XM, worked all day, catch the last bus coming back out of the city and going back into Jersey. And I did that every day. And then Thursday night, I would load my car up, gas it back up, make my way back to Buffalo, to work on Friday night in Buffalo, to then drive to Rochester, work in Rochester, cut my show for Albany, go to church on Sunday, and do this all over again.
I'm breaking the sweat by just listening to all of that. Man.
I did that for a full year.
Wow.
To the degree that when I was done, I had to get a new car. Because I drove my little red all the way through. And it was hard. You know, it was absolutely taxing. It was hard. I cried some nights driving there, cried some nights driving back, pulling over, going to sleep in the car, in the back of the car. Red Bull carried me through. And so did the Lord.
I need the Lord and the Red Bull.
You hit that curve, wake up, like, call my mom. I'm about to literally just go to sleep at some gas station. I send you a picture of the address. It was hard, but it was rewarding because I was in a city doing what I wanted to do. Every day was exciting, interviewing amazing people. I mean, all the best individuals in the industry I had an opportunity to meet. Some people I was like trying to hold back my own shock, you know, and I'm just like, if he walk in here, Lord, don't let me lose it.
Keep it control here.
Everybody, and Quincy Jones. I mean, it was amazing to just connect with so many different people, to run into social media, and then it just was like, yo, I was there operating kind of like undercover boss. I never told everybody else I was on the radio. I just was there running the social media. Until my boss one day was like, yeah, this who you need to connect with upstate. We have about 4 or 5 stations. I was like, blowing me in. And then after that, that's when I started doing an entertainment report on Sirius XM with my guy Torre on the Tour Guide show. And I did that daily, and I went from technically a 52 market to the #1 market on air when somebody said that I couldn't. I did that for a good 9 months, in addition to the other months of me working from Buffalo and then commuting back and forth until, you know, people changed their mind about management, and because management brought me in, you know what I mean? So, but that was one of the stories that I can share of really locking in and going after what I want and strategizing.
Wow.
And it was definitely rewarding. It was expensive. And honestly, I don't even know how I did it.
But it was necessary.
It was necessary. Definitely. And I just like, when people be like, oh, I can't do my internship, I'm like, well, you don't want it that bad.
Yeah.
Because do you have the drive to drive? Because I drove hours.
You literally drove. You drove after the thing.
Yeah, literally. So, you know, for me, it just be like, when people talk about wanting it, I just be like, so what are you doing to make it happen? How bad do you really want it?
Yeah.
You know, and I still question the stuff that I want. So what is the miles I'm going to go to make it happen? Yeah.
Now, you talked about, like, on your bucket list. Now, you actually have one thing that I really have on my bucket list that I have to really get back to it. I wanted to do a TED Talk. That's like one of my goals on my list. And so I know. So I know you did a few hosting of TED Talks, and you did your own TED Talk. How was exciting? Like, how was that?
You know, when I first learned about the TED Talk, I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like, this is some international stuff, you know? And I did the youth TED Talk here. I first spoke at it, and it was amazing.
Did a good job.
Thank you so much. It was a great experience. And then after that, I was hosting it, but I knew speaking would always be something that I would do, because it's just like, I got paid to do it. This is what I do. You know, in grammar school when I was younger, it just was like, Adriana talk too much. My mom used to be like, she get that from her daddy's side. But it's like, so what do I do with this gift? Because clearly it is, you know. And y'all better stop telling y'all kids to be quiet in school. Nurture that gift.
You talk too much.
Talk too much. Nurture the gift. You know, put them in some Richmond speaking contests, you know. But it was a great opportunity. And, you know, like you said, I did it, but now I'm like, I want to go do one in Japan or like, you know, all these other England, you know, they're different places and I want to do more because there's so much more to talk about.
Yeah. So what's up? You have anything you want to share? What's in your bucket list? And you talked about going back to school.
Definitely going back to school. I want to term out.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, we couldn't even get an education.
Absolutely.
Why wouldn't I go all the way?
I know you're a big supporter of EOP. I'm an EOP student.
Yes, EOP. I wouldn't be in school if it wasn't for EOP.
Gotta love EOP. Gotta love EOP.
Love EOP. I do anything for EOP students, anything for EOP program.
Yeah.
And those education opportunity programs are transformative. It transformed my life. You know, I went to the University of Buffalo if it wasn't there. So absolutely going all the way to get my PhD. You know, I always wanted it, but I didn't know what I wanted to go for. Right. First I was like, I'm gonna go back to school to be a lawyer. And I was like, girl, you're not about to do that. Like, you ain't about to do that, LSAT. You ain't about to sit there and study for the bar.
Right.
Because my friends who are, they locked in.
Gotta be locked in for the bar.
I don't really got time to lock in like that. You know what I mean? And it was like, what else can you do to make sure that you're merging the gifts and talents that you have?
Yeah.
You know, and like I shared, after coming out of that dark place and having someone that was there for me and learning to be a great listener and then also sharing their moments of and being transparent with me, I just was like, I think this is it. And especially when it comes to our community, I want to help our young Black girls see themselves from a different light because that is, you know, my go-to and working with them specifically. But that's why, you know, I definitely want to term out. So PhD, absolutely. Bucket list. I would be owning my own collision shop.
Really?
I love cars. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. He owned his collision shop. My uncle owns it now. Shout out to Mr. B's Autos right there in the corner. Very, you know, where True Bethel is.
Yep.
And so growing up, I was always around it. I had a Barbie Corvette I would take to the shop, drive to the shop. He put an inspection sticker on it.
Now, you know how to change, not to interrupt you. Do you change your own tires and stuff? Do you do oil changes?
My grandfather taught me how to do all of that. Now, I don't want to do it. You know, my grandfather would show me what to do, how to check your oils. You know, even my uncle still on me about your vehicle. You'll be shocked how many women don't know how to take care of their vehicles, or men for that point too. Yeah. So that's definitely on my bucket list because everybody is always going to need their car fixed. They want them kitted out. Yep. And after doing my own Pimp My Ride and taking it from looking crazy to where it's at now, I was like, oh yeah, I could do this.
Well, you pimp your ride on now?
I did.
You did?
With my family in his collision shop. I was like, this is what I want to do. This is how we're going to do it. And I did do some of the work.
Did you?
But I absolutely love vehicles, so that's on my bucket list.
That's dope.
To have my own collision shop. Go Getta Customs and Collisions. I think that would be.
I like that. I like the sound of that.
Yeah, don't you?
So who motivates you? I know you're a big fan or follower of Eric Thomas.
Oh yeah, I met him and he's the homie. He's the one who blew me in at Hip Hop Nation.
Really?
He walked in the room and was like Buffalo, and I was like, sir, chill. Yo, what you doing here? You everywhere. I was like, sir, you really? Now they looking at me like, who is this girl?
Right.
Boy, I'm out here undercover.
Who else do you like far as like help you kind of like stay in that kind of mindset, motivating you? So you got Eric Thomas, ETs.
Yeah, just to run off some motivational speakers, because I honestly believe, you know, Zig Ziglar said motivation is needed every day. And I say this. He said it's like brushing your teeth, washing your butt. It's like, I say washing your butt. He say brushing your teeth. But it is. And if you don't keep yourself in that particular headspace, you can easily roll out and be in the wind, you know? So Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Les Brown, E.T. the hip hop preacher, my girl Sarah Jakes Roberts. You know,
Sarah Jakes she's really down there. She got some good.
The good sis is transparent.
Yeah.
I love all her transparency.
I actually love her flow, like her style of talking. Like, now it was hard for me at first, but her flow is just so natural. Obviously, I think that's important.
Yeah. Absolutely. So those are just like some of the top tier people that I watch. Diddy, you know, Diddy growing up was just, it's the guy, it's Diddy, you know, and just studying and watching Jay-Z, you know, just growing up in the industry. These are the people, you know, that you tap into. And for me, of course, are like my radio goats, Howard Stern, Angie Martinez, you know, Wendy Williams, you know, Lord help her on her transitions. And then also paying attention to the Steve Harveys, the Ricky Smileys, people who are in the positions I want to be in.
Yeah.
So I watch what they're doing, how they're doing it.
Now, one thing you did mention on your bucket list, not to put this out here. Now, you got a lot of opportunities. I've seen you're on Channel 2 a few weeks ago.
I did that was great.
You're helping out Variety Club. Do you see yourself doing like your own like show, like maybe like a Steve Harvey or Nick Cannon kind of show?
Absolutely, it's gonna happen.
It will,
absolutely have, and this is why I love Howard Stern, because Howard Stern was doing radio and TV before anybody.
Yeah,
he merged the two. Although he's wild, what he was doing back then, you could not do now. But absolutely merging the two of radio and television.
Yeah.
That's absolutely on the goals list, and that's also another reason why I want to go back to school for psychology, to be a clinical psychologist, is so that I can offer advice and really be able to help and assist from that standpoint. People be out here giving advice and be like, you ain't even certified in what?
And nobody heard that. You can just be a doctor.
Listen, you could be whatever you want
on the internet.
I just come from I just come from the village of being certified. I come from the village and experience.
Yes.
And coupled with education, traditional, non-traditional. So if I jump out and say, this is what I'm doing, I want to make sure I have the backing in that. You know, like I have friends who talk to me about the music business. And I was like, let me think about it. And I just enrolled in a certification at NYU. So when it comes to music, just sharpening my tools and also putting more tools in the toolbox as well. And I think the bucket list, so definitely that. And my retirement plan is being a tenure professor. I want to definitely teach at that level. So that's another reason why I want to get my PhD. I love being an adjunct professor. And I've had my teachers that transformed my life when I was in high school. Mr. Wright, he was my art teacher at McKinley High School. I was an art and photography major. Transformed my life. He's the one who instilled in me that if you find a job you love to do, you never work a day in your life. And he ain't worked. He just painted and taught us how to paint.
Wow.
I don't know what that was work, but he was happy every day. You know what I mean? And then I had a teacher, a professor at UB, Mark Adler, who taught me advertising. And through that, he showed me how to do it not using a book. He said, by the time you get to the book, it's outdated. So he made us subscribe to magazines and read articles and tap into Harvard, what are those things called?
The Harvard, is it law journal thing?
Yeah, the journals and different things of that nature. And he made us do a marketing plan on businesses. At the time, it was like Stillwaters, Mothers, Fat Bob's, and Scarlett. Wow. So we literally, in college, had to put together a marketing plan, advertising plan for these businesses and present it to the business owners. Wow. And I took that same concept and used it when I was teaching at Bryan and Stratton, my marketing class, and used that very same concept and brought in my friends who owned their own businesses and had the students create business plans, marketing plans for them. So definitely being a tenure professor, I want to be one of my retirement plans.
Wow. You're just so dope. I mean, I know other words to really say it, but you're just so dope all around. Just everything.
Appreciate it. I try.
I want to just one final question I want to ask you before we take off. What do you say to? And I know you work with a lot of young people. What message do you give to the little girl, the little boy that's living in Buffalo, may see conditions that traumatizing, depressing, crime rate, all the stuff you already know about? What do you say to him or her on going after something despite of where they are? Like, what message did you give to the young people that you work with to kind of just encourage them? Like, what's that thing?
It's interesting you asked that question. So I'm currently back working with 21st Century CAO program at McKinley High School, where I got my Go Getta Girls program, and I'm happy to bring it back there. But it was at McKinley when I was working for Say Yes at the time that I had this idea of like, it don't matter your circumstance or situation, make it happen. Yeah. Right? It don't matter. And so I started going into the homes of my students. So I started talking to their parents and realizing this is why they're acting the way they are, or connecting with them and seeing the truth. And, going into their home, there was no food, or you don't got a bed, or, there's no running water, or you got a dog in here and just stuff out. It was the craziest things that weighed on me.
Yeah.
So how do I now come back to school when you're coming from that environment for me to tell you, still make it happen?
Yeah. Don't
matter about your environment. And I came from the hood. I came from circumstances and situations where I've lost friends in front of me. I've seen some things happen, but I had this determination to make it happen. But thank God I had a mom that worked hard, and my grandfather who helped take care of me, although my father wasn't present. And I still had a little cushion, but these kids had nothing like that. So I had to learn to shift and change my messaging. And really redirecting to let them know we can acknowledge where we are from. And the problem is, others may count you out.
Yep. So
you have to learn to be your best, right? And I took the word best because we talk about all the time, be your best, be your best, be your best. What does that mean? And when you look at the definition, okay, cool, but I'm a person who always flip and make my own. So I took best, which is beating every statistic tactfully.
Ooh, I love that. I love that.
And so if you're able to make it out of bed and make it to school on time, you already beat the statistic of them counting you out. So I began to break down the small steps to help them to see the wins. So by the time I help you to see your wins and that you're winning on a daily and you're winning on a weekly, you begin to develop a winner's mentality. This is why on the radio, I like to mix and mingle the ratchet with the righteousness, right? Yep. You got to give people the medicine and the candy. So if I say, call in and tell me your win of the week. Did you make it to work on time? Pay your rent up? You ain't slap your baby mama? It's just the things. Let's talk about your wins and not the negativity. So I had to shift in the mindset of talking to my students. Let's look at where we are, what you got, and how do we see the light in the dark.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And then now, after I get you in that winner's mentality, now we could talk about you making it to where you need to go. Because I could show you me. Then I could bring in my other friends who had other similar situations. So my message to the next generation is always, you can do and be whatever you want, but you got to put the work in. And then you also have to fight through our issues. Yeah. And I'm real with them about our issues. Don't stop there. Do you want to make such and such proud? Like for me, I don't want to let my mama down. I don't want to let my mentors down. Yep. And I want to be able to take care of my mother, and I want to eventually take care of my mentors because these are the people who carry me through. And so if I'm able to shift the message to them to help them to say, hey, you can make this happen, and help them to see their wins and begin to train their mindset to know that they are the best at everything, beating every statistic tactfully, then you really begin to grow the mindset and shifting it quickly. Because now you're like, you know what? I beat that. Okay, cool. Because once you get one win, it just becomes momentum. It's the momentum you need.
Making it tangible. And like you just really, that's a key component of, especially when you're going through a lot and everybody wants you to be here tomorrow. And you're seeing, like you said, if you're living in darkness, and sometimes a lot of the young people can't control their environment.
They cannot.
And mentally, they can't even bring themselves out of it. And so having those small wins. Exactly. And so having that small win means so much. It's saying, you know what, you made it to school today. You don't know what I had to do just to get to the school.
It's real for them.
Yeah.
And I remember when Say Yes shifted to that model, I was so mad. I'm like, I just want to make sure they go to college. We're about making sure they get to college, but I'm so glad because they put me through this training again, and I was just not feeling the training because it took me to a place of now I'm thinking about these kids while I'm at home. Did they eat? Now I'm making sure I got clothes in the office, food in the office, whatever extra to help and support them. Yeah. But it just was like, I'm happy they did change the model because how can we get these kids to college for them to be successful, to pay for them to go if they're not even mentally ready? The opportunity is there, but you're not prepared. Yeah. That's the most terrifying situation for me in my life. For the opportunity to present itself and I'm not ready.
That's scary. Yeah, that's scary.
It's scary. Yeah. Right? So that's really how I talk to my youth now.
So any last words for you to depart? Any last words you want to tell the audience? Obviously, you want to tell people where they can reach you. They want to book you because you do some great events around the city, from the nightclubs to formal events. You just all over the place.
Host ones, Only event I like to do is my ladies event, and I'll be back at it next year.
Are you gonna be back at that?
I'll
Okay.
be back at it. It hurts my heart to not do it this year, but some at the top when I was trying to plan, some of the places were still on that.
Yeah.
We need to see this. We need to see that. Now they out here just like, okay,
it's done.
Yeah.
It's done.
But all right, next year I'll be back at it full fledged doing honoring my ladies for Women's History Month. So. But last one, thank you, for having me. Rarely ever I'm in the interview chair. I had to tell myself, girl, don't be that scared. But I was scared. I was nervous.
Ew, I can't believe you were scared. I can't believe.
Absolutely. They say if you lose the butterflies, you got to question, what you're doing it for. So
yeah. Well, I just want to say just publicly, like I always. Like you just said, take a lesson. Like, what are you trying to learn? Because even when I started this podcast, I didn't know where God was trying to direct me to. Mm-hmm. And one of the fears that I was overcoming was always having it figured out. Like, God can give you something, and then you got to know like the 1, 2, 3. And so I'm the type of person like an overthinker. I got to analyze everything. Okay, is it gonna be this? And so I had to trust God in doing something I was really uncomfortable with. And I wanted to bring different people that I may see from a distance, but not really had that conversation one-on-one. To one is learn from them, and then also other people can also hear and see and learn from them as well. And when I'm pushed to learn more, like I had to, like obviously I told you before we recorded, is I had to go on your Facebook, I had to go on your Instagram, your website, learn about you and a little more in detail. And sometimes you can see somebody from a distance doing their thing, but then you have to like dive in and research. And I'm sure I'm talking to the choir now because you do this for a living. Yeah. But I had a deeper appreciation for all the things that you're doing. And sometimes you just like, wow, you take things for granted and even the people around you. And there's so much that you talked about from your intern to you growing and then the drive. Like, hearing people and come in contact with people who have the drive, you're like, oh, I'm not in this alone. Like there's other people who have to lose sleep, who have to go drive from this place to this to make this the life that they're trying to live and fulfill their destiny. And it's not an easy one. And sometimes you feel like throwing in the towel because like, especially when you see like people who are, I won't say comparing it, but sometimes people have a mindset of being complacent. And just accepting life as what it is. Like, this was given to me. I'm just supposed to accept it. Yeah. And just going through and watching your growth over the years and your compassion, just some people could, like I said, feel themselves too. Like, you get to a certain place in your life and you're like, I got this. And I said, from the first day I met you to even now, you're still the same. And I would say not the same person, but you're still approachable. You're still reachable. You're more transparent. You're evolving. You're growing, and and I can see your growth across the community and your love for Buffalo. And even though, like I said, there may be something down the line for you in the future, but you give back in ways that you may not even realize. And I think listening to your podcast, like I was so moved. Like, why didn't I know this about it before? Yeah. Because I was moved by your conversation. Because usually with some podcasts, like it's very opinionated, and you just sometimes you get like, But I was like, okay, I love this.
Right.
And I love the part that you can be yourself, even with your artists. And I love how, even with music, sometimes, like I say, people just say, I listen to gospel, but I don't listen to gospel. I got to have some Jay-Z. I got to have some Rick Ross. I got to have some Meek Mill.
I'm like a mix between. Yeah. Like, you go on my playlist, you're going to be like, what is this? Like I jump around.
All over the place.
For every different scenario. When I'm studying, I'm listening to classical, or I'm listening to jazz.
Yeah.
I'm listening to something without words, something that's a little bit soothing and keeps me alert.
Yeah.
When I'm in the gym, hardcore. You're going to get this. Sunday I wake up, I got my man's PJ, you know what I mean? Kirk, different people.
Hell yeah.
It's a balance.
Yeah.
Now that I would call it balance. You know what I mean? So absolutely.
But I just, I just continue to be encouraged, continue doing what you're doing. I mean, I love everything that you're doing. And I just love, like, even the events that you're doing, that your heart is in it. Like when you watch somebody who loves what they do.
Yeah.
When you wake up, and some days, like, it's not easy, But you love what you do. You have the energy. I mean, you want to make people smile. You want to make people like your energy when you walk into the room. Like, okay, I'm gonna make this work. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes when you are in an environment where you don't see that a lot, mm-hmm. you have the ability to just change someone's day. And I think and you talked about having a wise counsel. That's so important for any entrepreneur. Is like, you got to be able to have constructive criticism as well and feedback.
And I get it a lot.
Yeah.
My mom, they hold no bars. It'd be like, listen, fix your hair. You know, what are you doing? Take that down. Oh my God. And I'm grateful for it. Yeah. You know, even for my mom. And honestly, growing up with my grandfather, he was the life of the party. Mm. And this man literally was like my everything. I love that man. I miss him so much. But I just think about how he would just show up. Mm-hmm. And he's greeting and talking to everybody. You want this? You want that? How you doing? And just, it doesn't matter who you are. And because you never know what somebody else is dealing with. Even when I was going through, I took joy in saying, hey, you know, this next person, I got their bill. Or going to the dollar store is my favorite place to go. So I'm like, I got you, miss. Like, let me add a little more miss. I didn't say all that. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just being able to do different stuff for people to see them smile, right? And really just showing up and being a blessing. Like, life is tough already. Why you gotta walk around here all frowned
being all mad
and tough and mad, right? Yeah. And then after you've been in a dark place for a long time, I ain't going back there.
And you don't want to be around nobody in a dark place either.
I ain't never back there. And if people got that, I'm out of here. Y'all have a good day. You know, and when you walk in somewhere, I just feel like energy is everything. Yeah. And when you come in, my girl Kelly, shout out to my girl Kelly Galloway. You gotta be a thermostat and not a thermometer. You know, you're gonna set the energy in the room. You know, set the tone. Yeah. I'm gonna be the first to speak all the time. How you doing? You ain't looking up at me. Hey, what's going on? Good morning. Yeah. Good morning. All right. You know, I don't even know if somebody said good morning to them today. That's why they just walking on by. You know, and so for me, that's important. And again, like I said, being taught, it don't matter if you're the janitor or the CEO. Treat you all the same. And I think staying consistent, and when you know who you are and your reason of being here, you're going to always show up with good energy. Like, I wake up literally and I do what I love to do every day. I literally am able to work with youth. I work and I do social media for a dope organization in marketing, and I'm on a radio every day. I have merged everything that you wanted to do. Every degree that I have to every experience that I have encountered, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm able to regurgitate, reuse, and duplicate and do again. And if you wake up and you do what you love to do every day and you have an attitude, a problem, and your energy is not right, you have to check yourself on what's going on.
Look in that mirror.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'll work hard to do what I want to do every day and wake up happy, energy. Because why am I mad?
Why are you mad? So I would just say at the end of the day, you practice what you preach, because, you know, people can have a nice motto and a phrase, the Go Getta, but you are that.
It's a thorn too. Because I want to do it all the time. And then you got your people, your village. Oh, you're going to be the Go Getter.
Yeah.
Did you have a slogan that said grind, hustle, grit, no quit? Oh, you going to quit today? And I wanted to say, yeah. And then I start again. My quit is probably like 5 seconds. Like, I quit this part.
I don't want to do this no more. And then you back at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, for me, like, even with the podcast, I've created my podcast because I watched people get let go in the industry. And when they got let go, their voice just it's gone. They didn't build their brand. They was continuously building the other brand of the entity. So when they were done, it's just like, where they go? Where they at? You can't even tell why they let you go. You know, you can't even tell your story. So when I remember watching somebody, I was coming through the door, and, you know, me and my happy said, hey, how you doing? He's like, what? I was like, what? And I didn't even know what was happening. He's like, you know what's going on. I don't. Like, then I had to go back and ask. I was like, that's crazy. But then when I realized I didn't hear from him again, I was like, then I will have these interviews that I wanted more of. I love interviews like
Yeah.
this where we're talking about dreams, goals, hustle, ambition. And people don't want to hear that all the time on the radio. Play the music. I want to talk about stuff.
Stop talking. I want to hear the music.
You know, how you make your dreams happen. When you wanted to quit, what did you do?
Yeah.
These are the things I love to talk about. But it's an acquired taste.
Yeah,
Everybody doesn't care to hear that. So I decided to create my podcast as an extended conversation of the stuff that I was talking about with my go-getters of the week. You know, and like you, I study people. I watch people all the time. And I'd be like, I like that person. I wonder if they want to talk about this. Or, you know, and being able to have had really dope people on a podcast where I could dive into more conversations with them. You know, E.T. was one of them. And it was insane to get someone who I look up to on my podcast in person. Yeah. He came to the studio and did it with me.
That's dope.
You know, and that was just one of many that I was just really excited to have. And, you know, having that opportunity really allows you to just dive in and understand I can't be around here with an attitude. Somebody's situation was even worse. You know, I have to make sure that I'm still showing up for me every time. So, but yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. This was a great. I mean, you dropped a lot of gems in this episode. No. You did an awesome job. I'm gonna have to go back and take notes. You know what? I'm gonna ask you this last question. I know this is my last question, but you know what? This is my podcast, so I can talk. I want to ask about. I want to talk about humility. And you talked a lot about seeking, like even going to New York City with this series, or was it?
Series XM.
Yep. Sometimes you don't want to learn. Like when I was listening to your podcast, I was like, oh, I like how she did this, and I like how she did this, and then be able to be, you know, humble enough to say, you know what, I need. There's room for improvement here. Do you see that as like a key ingredient to being a successful entrepreneur?
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's a song that says, I ain't too proud to beg. I'm not going to beg, but I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
You know, like literally I'm turning 30 fine at the end of the month.
30 fine. I seen that too.
And so I recently just got another mentor. And when I say another mentor is as you grow and you go, and you esteem for higher, or you want more, or you're shifting and changing in different aspects of your career and your life, I'm huge on learning from people who's been there, done that, right? And that's something that I was taught. And as I was coming into the whole idea of knowing this is where I want to go, this is the next steps I desire, how do I get people connected to people who's already there, really in the industry?
Yep.
In the station I want to work at, you know, doing the things I want to do. And I applied for this program called Uplift Her, and they give you industry mentors. And just this December, I got a mentor who's that dude, and I'm so grateful.
Wow.
And he's in the industry doing exactly what I want to do at that level, at the high level. And I get him for a full year, where once a month we got to talk for an hour or more, either in person or over the phone, virtually. And I got to come prepared with questions. I got to listen to what he's saying. I got to listen to him come at me, say, hey, you ain't did this or you didn't do that. And I'm a person who lived for constructive criticism.
Yeah.
I used to not.
It's hard though sometimes.
Listen, it's all in the delivery. But it has a couple times.
Watch how you say that. Watch how you say that.
It used to be like this. You need to know how you coming in my life. And now I'm like, wait, what else I need to do now? Tell me again. I know that was terrible. Right?
Yeah.
Let me go back and let me try to fix this. So I think you have to have that level of humility if you really want to grow. Not being afraid to ask, not being afraid to connect with someone, not being able to say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I've done. I would love to connect with you. But I also learned, what are you bringing to this person?
Yeah.
You want this person to help you, but how are you going to help this person? I remember connecting with this woman. She was in this position that I wanted to be in. And I was like, I want that for my life. Like, she just, every time she showed up, she's, And I reached out to her. I was like, hey, can I take you to lunch? She make way more money than me. And I'm praying to God that she don't pick a place that was expensive. And I just like, Lord. And she picked a place. And when I got there, I gave my card, to to the guy at the front. Was it the maitre d'? I think it was.
I think so. Yeah.
I said, hey, that table right there. I don't think what she say. Charge this card.
Right.
So when it was time to get the check, she pulls out her card. He's like, oh, it's taken care of. She's like, you didn't have to do that. I was like, yes, I did.
Yeah.
My mentor said, if I want to meet with you,
You
I want
gotta
to
pay
connect
for that.
with
Yeah.
you. I have to be
Bring
able
something to the
service
table,
you
yeah.
Bring something to the table. And I learned that when I was at CNN too. It was an executive, her cold black woman. And I mean, we had CNN. CNN is buttoned up. CNN BT is night and day. Do you hear me? I remember walking down with the president one day. He got on jeans and a T-shirt, his Jordans, and we kicking it, walking there. Yo, what up? Music playing. You walking in CNN, button up,
everything.
Everything's tip top. I was like night and day, shifting, code switching. But it was this black woman, cold black lady, and she would walk in there with cornrows. And at the time, it wasn't a thing. You know, this was like 2006, 2007. They teaching us you got to dress appropriately, hair like this. And she ain't care. And the COO was like, I want you to connect with her. I call her Fearless. He said, her Fearless, that was her first name. Then he gave her the last name, right? So she was so cold. And I remember requesting to meet with her, but I was studying her while she was walking back and forth. And she would always have these veggie chips that she would get from Whole Foods. So on there, I was like, when she throw them in the garbage, I'm going to go take a picture. So then when I meet with her, I at least could give her something that she does, right? So she accepted the meeting. We had to set up the meeting. So I run downstairs because CNN, we had the store downstairs and it was called Whole Foods downstairs. And I remember running down there and grabbing her the veggie chips and an orange juice because that's what she will always have on the table. So I remember walking in and she's like, oh, hey, girl, how you doing? I was like, oh, good to see you. Thank you so much for meeting with me. She said, you got my two favorite things. And I was like, I'm in there.
That's how you do it.
And it's all in how you do it. If you can't just come to people like, hey, I need
Can you help me? Can you do this for me?
Right? And there's some people who absolutely will.
Yeah.
But when you come with a peace offering, when you come offering up something, whether it's your assistance, like how I got in the door at SiriusXM. Yeah. Before I was cold calling, telling him what I wanted and what I'm doing. And then when I flipped the script and said, this is what I can do. It was like, oh, can you get
change
it? Right?
Change the conversation.
You learn. So I began to learn that was a great way for me to have humility and also ask for what I wanted and get what I wanted.
Wow.
And so that's, that was definitely a way. I learned that one.
Well, you keep learning because you helping all of us.
I'm learning, boy.
You go through some of those trials and tribulations and help us all out. Tell us what not to do. So we
don't do that, okay?
Well, I appreciate you so much. Thanks everybody for listening, as well as watching. Next week, our episode number 15, we have Jamil and Sally Cruz, our first entrepreneur couple, coming in the building. They're going to talk about everything, the marriage, the baby, and the soon-to-come baby, and some exciting thing. Yes, the prince. They got so much.
I can't wait to go to the royal baby shower. The prince is coming. Shout out to the Cruzes.
I love it. I love them. So make sure, I want to just thank everybody if you're listening on our podcast. I want to appreciate everybody who's listening. Make sure you like the Facebook, like the Instagram, like the YouTube, as well as the LinkedIn. And if you're listening, make sure you download us. And if you want to see more episodes, Empower716.com is where you find us. And Adrie V, where can they find you at?
All things Adrie V the Go Getta. That's ADRIVTHEGOGETTA. That's on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, on TikTok, and my website, AdrieVtheGoGetter.com.
All right. Well, that's completes our episode. See you guys next week. Peace.
Hey, what's up, Western New York? Did you know that Empower716 Talk Show is looking to promote and recognize young entrepreneurs in Western New York? You could recommend yourself or someone else to be acknowledged on a future episode. Nominees need to be age 21 or under, has a service or product that offers value, has taken steps to become an entrepreneur, and must be willing to come on the show and talk about their service or product if selected. Email us at empower716@gmail.com.